Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about the recent presidential elections and what we have to look forward to with the president, Donald Trump. So first of all, I want to remind everyone that I do Vedic astrology, which is more predictive. It's based on the sidereal zodiac. And if you would like to know more about this written example of everything I'm talking about today, you can subscribe to my newsletter on my website, which is galacticcenter.org. So let me say this. We, as people of the United States of America, all want the same thing, which is for our country to prosper, do well, and be great. So regardless of your political feelings or what you think is best for the United States, let's put all of that aside and let's just look at what is predicted in the stars. What does astrology really have to tell us about our future as a country with our new president? So it was around the springtime of 2015 that I did a YouTube on A King is Born. And the reason why I did this video was because there was an up-and-coming conjunction of Jupiter and Venus, which can happen quite often, by the way. This is not an unusual conjunction, but it is rare when it comes together, not only in the sign of Leo, but conjunct the fixed star Regulus. And this is what was approaching for the summer of 2015, because it is said that they suppose that the three wise men were following the star that represented the king was born, and that this star was the conjunction of Jupiter and Venus, and that it was in Leo conjunct Regulus. So when I saw this aspect occurring again, I thought something must be coming about, and this should represent a king is born, or someone would come into power that could change the world. And as I noted, this conjunction, it would come around June, July, August of 2015. Now, the fixed star Regulus is the heart of the lion, and the lion is considered the king. In Vedic astrology, this is in the nakshatra Maha, which is representative of the throne and the king. So the Jupiter-Venus conjunction on this exact degree had to mean something very meaningful. So I was looking at this, and around the time specifically that Venus and Jupiter conjoined on Regulus, that was the time Donald Trump announced his bid for the President of the United States. I was shocked. I couldn't believe it, because I knew this was significant, especially when I pulled up his chart. Because his ascendant, and the ascendant is the most personal point of a chart because it is based on your time of birth, and that changes, every degree changes every 4 minutes. His ascendant was exactly conjunct where Jupiter and Venus and Regulus came together, which is 6 degrees of Leo. This is where Regulus is. The stars don't move, but the planets do, and they came together with that star on Donald Trump's ascendant. I knew this meant something very, very powerful. So from that day on, I've been looking at his chart. And come to find out, around the time of the elections, he went into his Jupiter Mahadasha. Now, anytime someone goes into a Mahadasha, when they have a change, and this is not very often because some of these cycles are 20 years long. When they go into a new Mahadasha, something relative to what that planet is all about in their chart changes. Now, when someone is running for president and they change dashas, that's usually an indication that they will become president. Barack Obama went into a Saturn Mahadasha right before he became president. Donald Trump went into Jupiter's Mahadasha right around the times of the election. Now let me remind you, it doesn't have to be that it's on that day or a little before or after, because this is where things begin. There's an area of where things can, a gray area. It's not like when you enter a dasha, the sky falls on that day. Because remember, when we have sunrise or sunset, you still see the light of the sun, even though it's not on the horizon. So there's an overplay of these periods, but he went into Jupiter's Mahadasha November 14th. Now, let me talk about his Jupiter, because when you go into a dasha, that planet becomes the focal point of your life, and Jupiter's dasha is 16 years long. So this is a huge cycle. He just left Rahu, which is 18 years long. But his Jupiter, in my opinion, is his most powerful planet in his chart. Many astrologers say his Jupiter's not strong. Are you kidding? Here's what makes it so powerful. His Jupiter is stationary. A planet that is stationary becomes the most important and powerful planet in your chart. And it's rare that someone has planets that are stationary in the first place. So his Jupiter on the day that he was born went direct. So it is stationary direct. Planets in their cycles of going retrograde and direct, there's a point where they change in order to go either direct or retrograde, and they stand still. This is what Jupiter was doing on the day he was born. It stood still. It's stationary direct, which makes that planet who he is. And people that have stationary planets, whatever that planet's about, is who they are. It's the stamp of their being, and it's Jupiter. So with this, his Jupiter is stationed, becoming the most powerful planet in his chart, and he goes into Jupiter's Mahadasha. Additionally, whenever you're in a dasha, that natal planet becomes the most important planet, as well as the transiting planet throughout that Mahadasha becomes the most important and powerful transit. And around the time of the elections right now, transiting Jupiter is conjunct his natal Jupiter. He has a Jupiter return on the day that he enters into Jupiter's Mahadasha. This is astounding astrologically. I'm just so surprised at the power of this transit, of this planetary conjunction. And additionally, let me remind you that transiting Jupiter, as it conjoins his natal Jupiter, is casting a trine to his Sun, which is in the 10th house, conjunct Rahu and Uranus, exactly trining this powerful combination. So in Donald Trump's chart, he was born under a brilliant full moon, and it so happened to be a lunar eclipse because it is conjunct Rahu and Ketu. His Sun Rahu are in his 10th house of career and kingship and leaders, presidents, and his moon Ketu are in his 4th house. So this opposition is all powerful for someone who is a leader. Now, transiting Jupiter is aspecting that. So this represents something extraordinary. Now, many people are concerned over the fact that transiting Saturn is about to conjunct his natal moon and oppose his sun. And yes, this can be a major obstacle and problem. But I went back to the last time that Saturn was in Scorpio, conjuncting his moon, opposing his sun. This was 1987, December. I went back, and at that point in time, he was on the Phil Donahue show, talking about his latest book, which was The Art of the Deal. And he was talking about how successful and powerful he was, and he was only 41 years old, and he was a billionaire. Let me remind you, a Jupiter of this magnitude in his second house, which is the house of money, here he is a billionaire at age 41. This didn't happen back in the 80s. It happens today, with people with technology and things of that, but this was very rare. And this was astounding. This was a great time in his life when transiting Saturn was conjunct his moon, opposed his sun. But also then, transiting Jupiter was in the sign of Pisces. So Jupiter, once again, was aspecting his natal Jupiter. So this transit of Saturn was not difficult. Likewise, the transit of Saturn conjuncting his moon, which in Vedic astrology is Sati Sati, revered as one of the worst times in life. It was not his worst time before. It will not be that horrible again. It will not. Because he's in Jupiter's Maha Dasha, and Jupiter is trining the sun the entire time it is in Virgo, which it's going to be transiting in Virgo till September of 2017. He is protected. The sun is the physical body. Jupiter's trine to the sun protects him. So let me bring up some interesting points concerning the United States of America, the chart for the US, and comparing it to Donald Trump's chart. Now, I use the United States chart. Let me tell you first the data I use for the US. I use July 4th, 1776, 6:30 p.m. in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. How did I get this birth time? This is the birth time that was rectified by James Kelleher, Vedic astrologer. He was hired to go to Washington and research and find the chart for the United States. This chart works like a charm. It's perfect. And actually the ascendant of this chart, which is 8 degrees of Sagittarius, is where Mars and Ketu conjoined that degree on September 11, 2001. So it is a trigger of events. So let me explain something about how Donald Trump and the United States chart are aligned. If you will go to the United States chart, notice Jupiter is at 15 degrees of Gemini. Notice Donald Trump's chart. Mercury is 15 degrees of Gemini. Go to Mercury in the United States chart. Mercury is 3 degrees of Cancer. Donald Trump's Venus is 2 degrees of Cancer. Go to Rahu in the United States chart. Rahu is 16 degrees of Cancer. in Donald Trump's chart, Pluto is 16 degrees of Cancer. This represents major transformations. Go to Saturn. Saturn in the United States chart in the 10th house of the president, of leaders, those who rule, government. That's what the 10th house is. Saturn is at 24 degrees of Virgo. And let's go to Donald Trump's chart. His Jupiter is 24 degrees of Virgo. He goes into his Jupiter Maha Dasha. Jupiter returns there, and it is conjunct Saturn in the U.S. chart. What does this all mean? Okay, for those of you that are angry about this unbelievable election that everyone thought Hillary Clinton would win. Just about everyone, you know. I'm not going to say I did, because I said Hillary Clinton will not be president. Based on her daughter's chart, Chelsea's chart, Chelsea's sun is 15 degrees of Aquarius, where the eclipse is falling. And it's 8th from the moon, representing the mother, and represents disgrace, humiliation, and loss. And this is what the elections are all about for her. So, talking about Donald Trump in terms of being the president, you have to come to realize that this is all in the stars. Look at the charts. He was and is destined to be the president of the United States. And based on these planets, I have to say something that many of you may not like. But if you do not like what I have to say, you've got to reconsider and take a close look at yourself. Because what is it you really want? Do you want to destroy our nation, or do you want wholeness, completeness, and for it to prosper? It's in the stars. The charts are aligned. The stars are aligned for Donald Trump to be the president. And here's my prediction. He will be one of our greatest presidents that we ever had. Does that upset you? If it does, take a look at your heart and your soul, because then you are saying you do not want what's best. And I'm not saying that Donald Trump is perfect by any means. I'm just saying that there's something important for him to do, and it's changing everything. He has uncovered the scandals, the cheating, and he will continue to do more work in cleaning out the deception, deceit, and denial. That has been going on in politics for years. Why? Because Neptune and Ketu are conjunct right now, and they are opposed that solar eclipse degree that brings everything out into the open. The media has been lying. The government has been lying. And no one likes to be lied to. This is one of the reasons why so many people secretly voted for Trump. Because they wanted change. They did not want to see more of the same. Donald Trump represents change. And this is what you're going to get. And I say, based on the astrology, he's going to do great things for the world. So, let me take you down the road to discuss what could happen if we don't change. If we don't change our anger, our frustration, our resentments over what has just happened. I think so many people are in shock. But it's time to wake up, because that's what this is all about, the Great Awakening. Yes, I called it the Rude Awakening before, because people did not expect this. but it's happening now. And let me tell you, if people do not change right now, between the time of the elections and inauguration, there could be an event that forces us all to come together. And I predict it could be a terrorist attack. Because with all the anger and the hate and the frustration that people have going around the world right now because of this election, this force, this energy of this negativity could cause an event that brings people together again. Because if we had a terrorist attack, whether it is because of the people's violence with each other or terrorism, that will force us to come together. And I think this is predicted because looking at the chart of the United States, where the moon is in Aquarius and Neptune, Ketu, and Mars come together, there will be an event of violence. Now, I predict that on New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, that's when Mars comes to 15 degrees of Aquarius, exactly opposed the previous eclipse degree that happened September 1st at 15 degrees of Leo. That is the solar eclipse degree that is triggered by Mars. This happened September 11, 2001, when Mars came to the degree opposed the previous eclipse degree that summer. Now, before at that time, it was in Sagittarius, Gemini, but now it is in Aquarius and Leo. So the truth is being uncovered because of the Neptune Ketu. And I believe that this is a time of spiritual liberation because this Neptune is about spirituality. Ketu is otherworldly spirituality. And as they come together, we have the opportunity to let go of the anger, the resentments, the fear. And if we're able to do that, we can assist in the growth of our country as well as our own lives. Let me explain something here. Anger and resentment. Anger, seething anger that persists for a long duration becomes resentments. Resentments deep in our heart are what destroy our lives, destroy our bodies, and destroy our world. Resentments are based on an anger that of our judgments, of things that are not fair, things that don't have justice. And when we feel like things must be punished and things must be just, and we don't receive that, it becomes a resentment. Now, resentments, when we're able to let go of them, frees our soul. It is spiritual liberation from this world. And that's what we have to do. We have to let go of our anger, our resentments, in order to free our soul. In order to get rid of the karmic wheel. This is karma when we are locked into our resentments and let this rule, because it will destroy and ruin your life. You will never be successful in the areas that you want to achieve with resentments. So aside from the presidential elections, you must take a deep look within yourself to see where there are lingering resentments, and you have to let them go. When you let go of your resentments, you are free. And all of your problems, all of the blocks are released, because this is what blocks us. This is what destroys us. And this is what people are doing and destroying the nation with this deep-seated resentment. Take this opportunity to look within, to release these angers and resentments, and you will free yourself and you will free the world. And this is how you can see what's within is reflected without. There is nothing out there that's causing your angers. You may think there is, but you have the free will and the opportunity to release it and let it go. Because when you let go of your resentments, you're free. So go within your heart, the divine that connects us all. We are all connected through this spiritual divinity that's within us all. Go within and ask that you be released of your resentments. And when you feel that you are free from no judgment, no anger about what's going on in the world right now or the president, that is when you're going to feel an epiphany and your world will open, your heart will open. And this is what will change the world and possibly avert the dangers and the events that force us to come together. We have to come together without that. This is my request of the world, to let go of the deep-seated angers and resentments, to allow your life and the world to prosper, and it will. And connect with the divine, contemplate, meditate on that letting go, and you will be free. So with that, I'd like to close. If you would like more information, you can always go to my website, which is galacticcenter.org, or if you want to learn astrology, I have a university, which is University of Vedic Astrology.com. Thank you.